Buckle your seatbelt, Dorothy.
How can you truly enjoy the meal unless you know the flavor? Welcome back, ABL fans. This is Big Earl, your trusted voice in action baseball league analysis, coming at you with our 8th installment of Deep Dive 25. Hey, grab a bag to hold the scraps, because we're about to slice, dice, and dissect all the nuances of this great league. Thank you barely shows the depth of our appreciation to the beat writer of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch for your traditional and highly respected reporting. You are a true historian of baseball and the ABL. We are honored to hear your take on our league. Okay, ABL fanatics, let's do this. Whether it's the Central Workhorses, the Western Wildcards, or the Eastern Powerhouses, we're covering it all. See it for yourself. Dive into the journey of the St. Louis Stallions, the enigmatic contenders in the American Baseball Conference's Central Division. With the strategic acumen of their front office, a coaching staff adept in nurturing pitching prowess and batting patience, and an owner whose balanced approach shapes the team's ethos, they craft a narrative of resilience and hidden potential. If you're one of those folks who can't get enough of the nitty-gritty, the ins and outs, the ups and downs of ABL baseball, then this deep dive is for you. It's like opening a box of Cracker Jacks. You never know what treasure you're gonna find. Savor the tang of some St. Louis-style barbecue as we explore a team that embodies the city's spirited blend of industrial grit and riverside tranquility, echoing the cultural richness shadowed by the iconic Gateway Arch.
Question 1. How does the owner's personality and negotiation style influence the team's culture and performance?
The intricate dynamics of the St. Louis Stallions under J.D. Summer.
For the St. Louis Stallions of the American Baseball Conference, owner J.D. Summer's 40 years of savvy and personable and easygoing negotiation style serve as the cornerstone of the franchise. This seasoned owner's management ethos, demanding on the field, an economizer at the ledger, and hands-off in daily operations, sets the bar for the team's modest goal to play .500 ball. The front office, led by 6-year GM David Ward and 29-year veteran field manager Ryan Messmer, brings a blend of average and poor reputations, respectively. Echoing the owner's normal personality type, the coaching staff leans toward power pitchers and patience at the plate. In this complex tapestry, Summer's dual approach, easygoing yet demanding, could either catalyze a harmonious clubhouse or sow the seeds of its unraveling.
Question 2. What roles do the front office and coaches play in the team's success or struggles? Are they aligned with the owner's vision?
The St. Louis Stallions, a front office and coaching staff on the clock.
In the world of the St. Louis Stallions, owner J.D. Summer's vision casts a long shadow, but it's the front office and coaching staff that must bring it to life on the diamond. General Manager David Ward, personable but only average in reputation, finds himself in the unenviable position of translating Summer's personable and easygoing negotiation style into a balanced roster capable of achieving the modest goal of a .500 season. Field manager Ryan Messmer, a 29-year veteran with a poor reputation, stands at a crossroads. His temperamental nature could clash with Summer's more even-keeled approach. The coaching staff, mixed in reputation but favoring power pitchers and plate patience, presents a further conundrum. Do their preferences align with Summer's fiscal conservatism and balanced team vision? The Stallions find themselves at a critical juncture. Either the front office and coaches align their gears to the owner's blueprint, or they risk becoming a chronicle of missed opportunities.
Question 3. How does the team's financial health reflect in its performance?
The St. Louis Stallions, a financial balancing act in the quest for on-field success.
In the ledger of the American Baseball Conference's St. Louis Stallions, a tale of fiscal prudence and modest returns unfolds. Operating with a payroll of $6,237,020 on a budget of $9 million, the Stallions rank 16th in league payroll, neither destitute nor flush with cash. Fan interest, once soaring in '73 but dipping in '80, has seen a rebound, nudging the revenue to a stable $7,485,810. While not record breakers, the Stallions have crafted a niche for themselves as resourceful competitors, banking on scouting and analytics over blockbuster signings. An insider summed it up: it's not about spending the most, but spending smart. As they toe the line between financial stability and athletic ambition, the Stallions embody the old baseball adage: it's not always the flashiest team that wins, but the smartest.
Question 4. How has fan interest evolved over time, and what does it mean for the team's revenue and player acquisitions?
The St. Louis Stallions, the roller coaster of fan interest and its fiscal ripples.
In the fluctuating world of the St. Louis Stallions fan interest, we see a financial narrative unfold that rivals the drama of a late-inning rally. Starting their ABL tenure with a respectable fan interest of 78 and 72, the Stallions soared to a zenith of 95 and 73 before plummeting to a nadir of 63 and 80. Yet, a flicker of hope emerged as the rating resurged to 77 and 81. This ebb and flow isn't mere sentiment, it's fiscal gravity. With a gate revenue at a modest $832,816, the upward tick in fan interest could be the shot in the arm the Stallions need to invigorate their $9 million budget and $6.2 million payroll. The fans are the heartbeat of this team, echoes a Stallions scout, hinting at the untapped potential for high-impact player acquisitions if the fan pulse strengthens. In short, the Stallions stand at a crossroads where fan enthusiasm could either be their boon or their undoing.
Question 5. What is the current mood among the fan base, and how could it impact the team in the short term?
The St. Louis Stallions, a fan base's mood as a double-edged sword.
In the hustle and bustle of the St. Louis Stallions season, the fan mood swings like a pendulum, but currently, it's ticking upward. With a 14-point surge in 30-day fan interest and a stadium nearing full capacity, the Stallions are riding a wave of cautious optimism. This isn't just ballpark banter, it's the lifeblood of immediate success. High spirits among fans can electrify players and fatten the financial ledger, from ticket sales to TV ratings. But here's the rub, this favorable wind can turn gusty. The Stallions, aiming for a 500 season, walk a tightrope. A slump could deflate fan interest as swiftly as it ballooned, and when that happens, expect the revenue stream to dry up just as quickly. In short, the Stallions find themselves at an inflection point where fan sentiment could either propel them to new heights or send them tumbling back to square one.
Question 6. How is the team faring in the league standings, and what factors are contributing to their performance?
The St. Louis Stallions, a promising start with tests ahead.
In the early trot of the American Baseball Conference's Central Division race, the St. Louis Stallions are flashing form. With an 11-8 record, a .579 winning percentage, and a plus 31 run differential, this squad is more than holding its own. Offensively, they've outpaced expectations, racking up 99 runs, for more than predicted. Defensively, they've clamped down, surrendering just 68 runs, 9 fewer than anticipated. Yet, let's not hang the bunting just yet. They're a middling 5-5 in their last 10 outings, and the strength of their schedule sits at a modest .454. ELO ratings and playoff odds paint a positive picture, but as the old ballgame teaches us, today's hero can be tomorrow's GOAT. With their next test against Cincinnati, the Stallions stand at a juncture where promise meets pressure. Keep those scorecards handy, folks. This Stallion squad might just be penning a season for the history books, or a cautionary tale.
Question 7. What are the team's odds of making the playoffs on a divisional and conference level?
The St. Louis Stallions, a playoff picture in pencil, not ink.
As the dog days of the season loom, the St. Louis Stallions find themselves teetering on the edge of postseason promise. Divisionally, their odds sit at a tantalizing but tenuous 41.4%, enough to whet the appetite but not to plan the parade. When we cast the net league-wide, the Stallions fare slightly better, with a 55.7% chance of tasting postseason glory. These numbers paint a portrait of a team with one foot in the door but the other still tapping nervously on the doorstep. It's a narrative of cautious optimism, a reminder that while they're in the hunt, they're far from the trophy. In the fickle game of baseball, today's odds can become tomorrow's footnotes. So, dear fans, keep those rally caps at the ready but hold off on popping the champagne. The final chapter of this Stallion saga is yet to be written.
Question 8. How do base runs and ELO ratings paint a picture of the team's true strengths and weaknesses?
Riding high or due for a fall. The Stallions through the lens of base runs and ELO.
The numbers don't lie, but they do love to whisper sweet secrets. For the Stallions, their 99 runs scored against an expected 95 and 68 runs allowed against an expected 77 reveal a team squeezing every drop from the fruit of opportunity. A plus 31 run differential? That's not just good baseball, that's a statement. But remember, folks, numbers have a way of regressing to the mean. Then there's the ELO, a solid 1,484.1 with a 30-day surge of plus 46.1 and a 7-day uptick of plus 4.2. It's like watching a thoroughbred gang stride down the backstretch. Yet, a middling 5-5 in their last 10 outings suggests this horse might still stumble. In essence, the Stallions are a team outpacing their expectations, but whether they're a comet streaking across the night sky or Icarus daring to fly too close to the sun remains to be seen. Keep your eyes peeled. This tale is far from its final chapter.
Question 9. What does the team's war indicate about its most valuable players?
The sum of all parts, Stallions team war spells cohesive strength.
Gather round, baseball aficionados, for we're delving into the hallowed realm of war to dissect the Stallions' season thus far. With a pitching war of 2.2, they're more than holding their own on the mound. Yet, it's their bats that are singing the sweetest tune, boasting a war of 3.0. Let's not overlook the unsung heroes in the field. A fielding war of 0.8 might not steal headlines, but it sure steals hits. All told, their collective war sits at a robust 6.0, a symphony of contributions from every corner of the roster. And while the exact names remain veiled, rest assured there are a few virtuosos in this ensemble. Though their pitching might welcome a dash more brilliance, this is a team whose strength lies in its collective endeavor. Take note, ABL fans, these Stallions are galloping as one, and that's a sight worth the price of admission.
Question 10. How have injuries impacted the team's performance and depth?
The fragile chessboard, injuries test the Stallions' depth and resilience.
Injuries, the cruel curveballs of fate that can alter a team's destiny. Our St. Louis Stallions have found themselves bitten by the injury bug, with 4 players spending a combined 72 days on the disabled list and siphoning off $49.1 thousand from the payroll. Yet, their respectable record and solid metrics indicate a team that's weathered the storm, a testament to their roster depth. But let's be clear, depth is a finite resource. While they've handled the early bumps and bruises with aplomb, it raises the question, how long can they keep this up without diluting their talent pool? The Stallions are walking a tightrope, and the winds are picking up. One wrong step could turn a promising season into a cautionary tale. Keep those rosaries and rabbit's feet handy, Stallions fans.
Question 11. What do the team's batting statistics reveal about its offensive capabilities?
The Stallions swing symphony, a potent blend of power and precision.
A glance at the Stallions' batting stats reveals an orchestra of offensive prowess, each player an instrumentalist in a symphony of swing. With 99 runs scored, 180 hits, and 19 homers, this lineup packs more pop than a 4th of July fireworks show. Their .362 OBP and .439 slugging percentage sing a melody of plate discipline and potent power. But it's not all long balls and leisurely trots around the bases. They've racked up 33 doubles and 6 triples, showcasing a speed element that adds another layer to their offensive complexity. Advanced metrics like a .801 OPS and a .366 WOBA underscore their efficiency, turning plate appearances into scoring crescendos. Yet, no symphony is without its dissonant notes. 112 strikeouts and a .159 ISO suggest areas for refinement. In essence, the Stallions are a well-composed defensive ensemble, but even the finest orchestras have room for improvement. Keep your eyes on these Stallions. Folks, they're playing a tune that could very well end in a standing ovation.
Question 12. How does the pitching staff stack up against divisional and conference competition?
The Stallions mound maestros, a study in subtlety and strategy.
The Stallions pitching staff, a cadre of hurlers navigating the complex ballet between mound and plate. With an ERA of 3.46 and a FIP of 3.74, they're throwing a few more strikes than curveballs, outperforming their underlying numbers just enough to catch your eye. It's not all heat and heroics. They've fanned 128 batters, but those 56 walks raise an eyebrow. They're not handing out dingers like candy on Halloween, only 12 allowed so far, while inducing grounders at a 52.1% clip. That's a recipe for keeping games within reach. But hold your applause, their opponent's OBP of .338 and a BB percent of 7.75% suggest these maestros have a few more rehearsals before the big concert. They've got the fundamentals, but like any good symphony, it's the nuances that make the performance unforgettable. So, grab your peanuts and Cracker Jacks, baseball fans. The Stallions mound maestros are still tuning their instruments.
Question 13. Are the team's fielding statistics a strength or a weakness?
The Stallions' defensive dance, flashing leather with a few missteps.
The crack of the glove, the sound that often separates victory from defeat in the grand theater of baseball. When it comes to the Stallions, they're not exactly the 27 Yankees in the field, but they're far from being the Keystone Cops either. With a zone rating of 5.46 and a defensive efficiency of 0.683, they're showing they can turn batted balls into outs with respectable aplomb. They've committed just 7 errors while turning 23 double plays, the kind of numbers that indicate a well-drilled unit. But let's not set the champagne on ice just yet. They've allowed 12 stolen bases, a weakness that could prove costly in the late innings of tight games. The defense has its shining stars and a few dim bulbs, particularly at the shortstop and pitcher positions, where the ZR dips into concerning territory. But make no mistake, folks, this is a team that can flash some leather. They may not win a Gold Glove Ensemble award, but they're not handing out games on a silver platter either. Keep your scorecards at the ready. The Stallions' defense is a story still unfolding.
Question 14. What do base running stats say about the team's tactical approach?
The Stallions' base running, a tale of caution and missed opportunities.
The base paths, a chessboard in cleats, if you will. For the St. Louis Stallions, it's less about daring night moves and more about playing it safe, maybe too safe. With a mere 4 stolen bases to their name and 6 times caught stealing, these Stallions are more like plow horses when it comes to base running. A dismal stolen base percentage of 40% and a negative WSB of minus 1.09 scream caution, perhaps born out of inadequacy. The team has a knack for getting on base with 122 singles, 72 walks, and 14 hit by pitches, but once they're there, they're about as adventurous as a Sunday driver on a country road. The numbers spell it out. This team's base running is a tactical shortcoming that could use some serious rethinking. So, don't expect a Stallions game to turn into a track meet anytime soon, but do expect fans to start calling for a little more hustle and a lot more daring.
Question 15. Who are the standout performers in batting, and what do their stats reveal?
Stallions batting elite, a symphony of power and precision.
The Stallions lumbermen, the artists of the aluminum and craftsmen of the maple, are putting on a clinic this season. Take Brandon Sims, the shortstop who's swinging a bat that might as well be Thor's hammer. His 1.090 OPS and .480 WOBA are the sort of numbers that don't just talk, they holler MVP. Then you've got the seasoned first baseman Victor Campos, who at his age is still making the baseball look like a beach ball, boasting a 1.010 OPS. Don't overlook Javier Gomez in left field. The man knows how to work a count, sitting pretty with a .395 OBP. Mike Castro at second base is the Swiss Army knife of this lineup, good for a hit, a steal, and making pitchers sweat. Last but not least, Alex Lander at first base is the epitome of patience, with an OBP of .384 that would make a Zen master proud. This lineup isn't just dangerous, it's a well-balanced diet of power and on-base prowess, youth and experience, speed and deliberation. Buckle up, folks, these Stallions are galloping full tilt, and it's a sight to behold.
Question 16. Who are the key figures in the pitching staff, and how do they influence games?
Stallions mound masters, the linchpin of championship dreams.
In the grand tapestry of the Stallions season, the threads of triumph or defeat are woven by the men on the mound. Take Bert Lopez, the undisputed ace, a hurler who's stingy with runs as if they were gold nuggets. His 1.00 ERA and 3.31 FIP are the stuff of legend. Then there's Willie Gomez, another dependable arm in the rotation. His 2.74 ERA belies a slightly inflated 4.43 FIP, but don't let that fool you, the man's got control tighter than a drum. Jose Coronado is the workhorse, sporting a solid 3.07 ERA and 3.30 FIP. He could afford to trim those walks, but he's more reliable than a Swiss watch. Lastly, we've got Mario Flores, the enigma of the bunch. His 4.73 ERA and 4.40 FIP indicate room for improvement, but the man has control, as evidenced by a meager 1.01 BB/9. Put it all together, and you've got a pitching staff that's the backbone of the Stallions' championship aspirations. Fans, keep your eyes peeled and your scorecards ready. This rotation has stories yet to tell.
Question 17. Who excels in base running and fielding, and how do they impact the game's outcome?
The game changers, Stallions wizards on the base paths and in the field.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about the unsung heroes, the men who turn singles into doubles and line drives into outs. Mike Castro is a double threat, folks. On the base paths, he's a veritable Houdini with a 75% stolen base rate, and in the field, he's as dependable as they come. Jose Padilla may not run often, but when he does, it's as if the base was always his. In the field, the Stallions have their own no-fly zone with Chris Gillum in center, making would-be hitters think twice before aiming up the middle. Chris Sullivan at third and Danny Martinez in right are nothing short of spectacular, with zone ratings that would make Ozzie Smith tip his cap. Javier Gomez and Castro round out a defensive unit that's more airtight than Fort Knox. These are the guys who make the Stallions tick, the ones who pull off the plays that leave you shaking your head in disbelief. So keep your eyes glued to the action, folks. These Stallions are as much about flash as they are about dash, and that's what makes baseball the grand old game it is.
Question 18. What does the team's age demographic reveal about its experience and future potential?
A blend of youth and wisdom, the age demographic of the St. Louis Stallions.
Baseball aficionados, let's crack open the almanac of ages for the Stallions, shall we? In the big leagues, they're trotting out a cadre of seasoned pros with an average age of nearly 30. Think wily veterans who've been around the bases a few times. The hurlers are even more grizzled, averaging over 30, a testament to the value of experience in clutch moments. But don't be fooled into thinking this is a team on its last legs. Peer down into the farm system and you'll find a wellspring of up-and-comers, particularly in the AA and single-A ranks, where the average ages dip to 25.4 and 23.54 respectively. These youngsters aren't just placeholders, they're the future Stallions stars in the making. So, ladies and gentlemen, what we've got here is a ball club masterfully straddling the line between the wisdom of experience and the vigor of youth, a recipe, dare I say, for both immediate and sustained success. Keep those scorebooks handy. These Stallions are built for the long run.
Question 19. Who has had the best batting and pitching games, and what do these performances signify for the team?
Season highlights so far, standout performances signify Stallions' depth and dominance.
Listen up, baseball fans, because the St. Louis Stallions are serving notice to the entire ABL with performances you'd carve into the game's annals. On the lumber side, Victor Campos and Javier Gomez set the diamond ablaze against Seattle, combining for 7 hits, 7 RBIs, and a pair of dingers, all on the same April day, a day that'll go down in Stallions history. Not to be outdone, Brandon Sims continued to be the linchpin of the offense against Boston, proving why he's a cornerstone of this franchise. But don't think the Stallions are all bats and no arms. Isaiah Wilson, Jose Coronado, and Bert Lopez have been painting masterpieces from the mound, each delivering games that would make Bob Gibson tip his cap. Complete game shutouts, double-digit strikeouts, you name it, they've done it. It's early in the 81 season, but if these individual exploits are any indication, the Stallions are primed for a run that could end in champagne and confetti. Get your tickets now, this show is too good to miss.
Question 20. What does your gut tell you about this team in the 1981 championship season and the Grand Tournament of Champions?
The gut feeling, Stallions primed for championship glory in 81.
Listen closely, baseball aficionados, because I've got that gut feeling, the kind that comes from decades of watching the Diamond's dramas unfold. The St. Louis Stallions are on a collision course with destiny, and that destiny has champion written all over it. With a lineup boasting the likes of Victor Campos and Javier Gomez, this team can go toe-to-toe with any pitching staff in the league. But they're not just a one-trick pony. Their own mound magicians, led by Isaiah Wilson and Jose Coronado, can silence the most potent of bats. Add to this a tactical depth in fielding and base running, courtesy of unsung heroes like Mike Castro and Chris Gillum, and you've got a team that knows how to win in a multitude of ways. Let's not forget the roaring Stallions faithful, who could very well be the X-factor come playoff time. Depth, talent, and that ever-elusive it factor, this team has it all. As the Grand Tournament of Champions looms, don't be surprised if it's the Stallions standing tall amidst the October glory. Mark my words.
Question 21. What is the team's history in the Grand Tournament of Champions?
The Stallions' roller coaster ride in the Grand Tournament of Champions.
In the annals of ABL history, the St. Louis Stallions' track record in the Grand Tournament of Champions reads like a classic baseball narrative, early promise followed by near misses. Kicking off their G2C journey with a bang in '72, the Stallions annihilated the New York Aces only to be halted by the Denver Rocketeers in the Conference Championship Series. As if the baseball gods scripted it, they faced the Rocketeers again in '73, but revenge eluded them. The '74 season saw them tangle with the Pittsburgh Express, only to get derailed. 3 consecutive divisional championship series appearances from '72 to '74 paint a picture of a team that's always in the mix but hasn't yet found that final piece of the championship puzzle. Ah, the sweet agony of what might have been. But in baseball, as in life, there's always another season, another shot at glory.
Question 22. What is the team's history in previous seasons?
The Stallion saga, from early triumphs to present-day resurgence.
Ah, the tapestry of St. Louis Stallions history is as rich as a freshly oiled mitt. In their nascent years from 72 to 74, the Stallions were the toast of the league, finishing first each season and making playoff appearances. They were shrewd in payroll, investing just enough to stay competitive. Then came the mid-70s, a period of falling leaves where they perpetually finished third and even dipped into financial red ink by 77. The late 70s and 80 were the proverbial bottom of the ninth for the Stallions, finishing low in the standings and seeing a payroll that soared but didn't translate to wins. Yet, come 1981, they've sprung back like a well-hit liner off the wall. A promising start to the season, a lean payroll, and robust financial balance herald a potential new chapter in Stallions lore. They've tasted the highs and endured the lows. Now it seems they're winding up for another pitch at glory. Baseball, always a game of second chances.
Question 23. What's your take on last season?
The Stallions' 1980 season, a harrowing tale of missed opportunities and hope.
The 1980 season for the St. Louis Stallions stands as a haunting page in the annals of the franchise. A woeful 62-100 record left them stuck in the cellar, a place colder than a St. Louis winter night. With bats that swung as if they were frozen solid, a .240 team batting average was all they could muster. The pitching? Let's just say they had more leaks than a sinking ship, posting a 4.39 ERA. Yet, even in these dire straits, they pumped their payroll up to an eye-watering $5.26 million, money poorly spent if the win-loss column is any judge. Remarkably, over 1.3 million fans still filed in. Their loyalty is steadfast as the Gateway Arch, but even the staunchest supporters have their limits. Thankfully, a bank balance nearing $2 million offered a glimmer of hope, a seed money for a future rebound. The 1980 Stallions served as a stark lesson in failure, but also a symbol of resilience, because, folks, in baseball, there's always next season.
Question 24. How does what happened in the 1980 season reflect on the 1981 early campaign?
From ashes to flames, the Stallions' 1981 revival reflects on their 1980 abyss.
In the great theater of baseball, where tragedy and triumph often share the stage, the St. Louis Stallions are scripting a revival in the 1981 season, rising like a phoenix from the smoldering ruins of their 1980 debacle. Once burdened by a payroll that seemed more like a king's ransom, they've tightened the purse strings to a modest $743,610.81, investing wisely in young or undervalued talent. The fans, those eternal optimists, have turned out in droves, their loyalty a wind beneath the Stallions' wings. On the field, the difference is night and day, an 11-8 start, a rejuvenated batting average at .280, and a pitching staff that's decided to put the lid on the jar with a 3.46 ERA. The coffers are flush with a $6.44 million balance, affording them the luxury of mid-season adjustments. The entire organization, from the front office to the dugout, appears to have absorbed the harsh lessons of 1980, emerging not just with a new strategy but a renewed spirit. So here's the gospel according to this baseball historian. The Stallions are back, and they've turned their past struggles into their present strength.
Question 25. What is your take on the current roster?
From 1980 struggles to 1981's rebound, the Stallions roster tells a tale of redemption.
The sweet smell of redemption. The St. Louis Stallions have gone from a 1980 season that felt like a slow trudge through quicksand to a 1981 campaign that's as sprightly as a spring morning in the Ozarks. Led by the left arm of Jose Coronado and the fireworks of Victor Campos, this team has turned last year's liabilities into this year's assets. Their pitching staff has shaken off the ghosts of last year's 4.39 ERA, although fatigue is creeping in like an unwelcome guest. On offense, the Stallions are more balanced than a high-wire act, with contributors from top to bottom, another lesson learned from last year's follies. Despite some injuries threatening to rain on their parade, the Stallions have a depth and resilience that suggests they've taken the hard knocks of 1980 and forged them into a team spirit that could very well take them deep into October. So, to answer that million-dollar question, if I were a betting man, I'd say they're holding on tight and are in it for the long haul. Well, there you have it. Your up-close and personal deep dive into the St. Louis Stallions. We've dissected their strengths, weaknesses, and everything in between. We've peeked into the owner's suite, dug into the dugout, and even scoped out the fans in the bleachers. And let me tell you, what a ride it's been. Like a well-pitched game, we've covered all the bases. But remember, baseball is a game of unpredictability. Just when you think you've got it figured out, it throws you a curveball. See it for yourself.
The
The St. Louis Stallions, galloping through the regular season with the grace of seasoned steeds, yet, in the Grand Tournament of Champions, they've often slowed to a trot. Will this be the year they break into a full sprint and seize the spotlight, or are they fated to remain the ever-persistent, heart-clutching contenders in the ABL's thrilling derby? The Stallions' tale is far from over, and the next chapter promises to be a page-turner. Big Earl here, folks. Keep your eyes peeled for future reports as we navigate through the twists and turns of another gripping ABL season. So, whether you're a fan of the Stallions or just love the game, the best is yet to come. Until next time, this is the game. See it for yourself.
Unfortunately, no one can be told what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself.
See it for yourself.
How would you know the difference between the dream world and the real world? You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.